Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of our short series featuring the next generation of talent. And today we have with us Esmee Jackson. Esmee, welcome to the video podcast today.
Hello.
It's great to see you. Tell us, which university did you go to?
I went to the Montford University in Leicester.
Mm-hmm. How did that go?
Yeah, that went good. I will be graduating from doing Fashion Textile Design. So, yeah, been
A good time was
quick 3
had.
years.
Yeah. And are you addicted to the industry now, do you think?
Yeah, I am. I'd say I'm more clued up on what I'm looking for now and what kind of thing I want to go into, which is print. Whereas when I first started, I had no idea. So
That's great. So you definitely want to be a print designer.
yes.
That's good. Well, I saw your work in London and it stood out to me. So I'm absolutely sure you're going to get snapped up by somebody very, very, very soon. So tell us all about your work. Tell us what inspired your final project.
So my final collection was a sequel from my pre-collection, which was basically about Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick, which was a very intense and disturbing film, which can lead to the idea of overwhelming senses, which is the idea that I kind of ran with that. So for the final collection, which I just handed in at the end of summer, was about kind of escapism and escaping a busy world of those overwhelming senses and areas of which you would kind of want to escape to. So I was looking at resort collections from Vogue and just any escapism imagery that I found basically. I was into the idea of distributing objects and just like dispersing objects is what I meant to say, and just things kind of like breaking apart and creating that space between busy patterns and more kind of quieter patterns. Say the least.
Your work looks lovely behind you. The dress behind you looks absolutely gorgeous. Tell us about that. How did you create that? How did you create the artwork?
So that artwork, I've actually got the original piece. So this is what the artwork was, and that was just done on Photoshop mainly, just kind of like playing around with it. So what I would do is I would kind of create a starting imagery piece that I would kind of paint or play ink with and kind of just get a start with it, and then I would just layer up different things. So the slight pattern in the background that you can see, this pale a bit, that is actually a building that I just kind of mashed together on Photoshop to create a repeat pattern. And then I just kind of like changed some of the colours of it.
That's great.
It's just all of a layering game, basically.
Lovely. What inspired your colour palette? The colours are lovely.
My colour palette was, so any primary imagery that I took, I would just, again, put them all into Photoshop, and I'd just use the little, like, eyedropper tool to get all the specific colours out, and I'd just try and find as many as I could, and I'd just fill, like, a whole A4 page with just tiny little colour swatches, and I'd just kind of play around with them.
It looks great. You have a real...
colour is something...
Yeah, you have a real eye for colour.
I really like colour in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I was really passionate about, and it's something that I really like to make right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It looks great. It really does. Tell us about the fabrics you used.
The fabrics I used, so the main fabric that I was interested in was neoprene. So like the kind of foamy stuff that you'd use for wetsuits, I guess.
Yeah.
And I liked the structure of it, and I liked how it kind of stayed in its form.
Yeah. Quite architectural for fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of my primary imagery was buildings and architecture. so it kind of fit that theme. And yeah, so I created this dress, and it has a very stiff kind of neck line, which you'll be able to see on my Instagram and portfolio and things like that. Yeah, so that was the main fabric that I was kind of experimenting with. And then obviously, like I said, dead stock fabric, so it would be a very mix between scuba, mesh, elastic, just kind of anything that I could find, really.
Were you encouraged whilst at university to be as sustainable as possible and to think circularly? Were you encouraged to get the dead stock fabrics, or was that your own initiative?
I'd say that was my own initiative because it was just the easiest way to test on fabric while in the print room. But obviously, doing print is quite hard to be sustainable by doing it by hand anyway, like with screen printing. But a lot of mine was actually digital printed, so that was a lot more sustainable, as the only waste was just paper.
Yeah, you can be more experimental, I guess, as well.
Yeah, exactly, and it would mean that I'd get the exact like crisp lines that I was creating from Photoshop and Illustrator, whereas if I tried to recreate that from just screen printing, it wouldn't always go how I'd want it.
Oh, it sounds great. Sounds like you've really enjoyed yourself. Tell us, where would you like to be? What do you want to do next? Do you want to stay in the fashion industry?
I definitely want to be in the textile industry. I'm not sure if fashion is something that I'm more passionate about, because I think a lot of my prints are very graphic, so it was quite hard to kind of get that on the body without it looking quite flat, because all of these orange stripes are flock, so it made it quite suede, which kind of lifted it a bit. But yeah, I think I'd quite like to go into doing interiors, I think, or graphics and posters. I think that's what I'd like to do, but I wouldn't turn down any opportunity if I had one. So
that sounds great. It really does. Yeah. Okay, so anybody listening, get in touch with Esmee. Her work is, she's so talented, really, really good. And you know, your work really, really did stand out in London. It's kind of hard to get across on video, but the colour, the texture, and the form and content of your work really does. You've excelled. It's fantastic. Where would you like to see yourself in 5 years' time if you had a wish list?
5 years' time, I think I'd definitely like to be, well, at least up to a senior role in a print company or a graphic design company, I think.
So you're keeping your options open? I think that's
the end goal.
Yeah,
definitely keeping my options open.
You just want to get some experience under your belt and move forward and learn lots and lots about the industry.
Yeah,
that sounds great. Well, we wish you lots and lots of luck. I'm sure you're going to get snapped up. You're obviously incredibly talented and very driven. Esmee, congratulations, and keep knocking all of those doors. Eventually one will open for you, and hopefully we can speed that process up for you too. It's lovely to meet you, and keep in touch.
Okay, thank you.